To another episode of Joy Meets World. I'm Joy Yugi, and on this podcast, I am talking about my adventures traveling around the U.S., visiting all of our national parks, and with my dog Quincy. And today I'm joined by my friend Jennifer Finlayson, and we're going to talk about our visit to New River Gorge National Park, which is the newest national park. It was started in 2022. If you haven't listened to the episode before this from Shenandoah National Park, Jennifer made her debut on that one. But if you haven't, Jennifer, tell us a little bit about yourself, how you and I know each other, all that good stuff.
So Joy and I know each other from way back in college. We went to college in North Georgia and had a great time together then, and have kind of just stayed linked up.
Yeah, and you live in Georgia.
I live in Georgia. I have one husband in Georgia, one husband in the world. He is the best ever, and we have two small Shelties that are our babies.
Yes, so cute. So Jennifer has come for a week on this whirlwind trip of mine, and I'm so excited that she has been here with me. So we got to do Shenandoah National Park together and then New River Gorge National Park. So we drove from Madison, Virginia to where we are now, Mount Hope, West Virginia. It was about a 3.5-hour drive and 220 miles. So not really bad.
Not bad at all. The drive was not bad. Not too many turnoffs or anything, almost a straight shot.
Yeah. And Mount Hope is about 25 minutes from the national park entrance. And then there's not much going on in Mount Hope. It's about, I would say, the same 20 minutes from like the nearest big town / city called Beckley. Never heard of any of these places before. I visited the national park. Mount Hope, how would you describe Mount Hope where we are?
Mount Hope is a baby town. They have an adorable Italian restaurant that we went to, had some good food, and one gas station, and then some little baby houses.
Lots and lots of potential.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of potential.
A cute restaurant downtown.
Yes.
The downtown's adorable.
They could do lots of buildings that they could kind of renovate, I think, in the future and, like, turn into little shops and restaurants and breweries, that kind of thing. So, cute. I think I was surprised. Like, it's definitely what kind of I expected from West Virginia, except that everything's like really well maintained. Like, lawns are mowed. You know, it might not be like the richest place economically in the country, but everything, like, you can tell people care about what they have and they keep up with it, which is always really nice, I think. Beckley's definitely bigger. It has a lot more
like a
shops.
Yeah, and like a Kroger.
And a Starbucks and like, you know, not the biggest town, but definitely a little bit more going on. So from here, we went to the national park. The main visitor center is the Canyon Rim Visitor Center, and it overlooks one of the main features of the park. So the park is a gorge, which the New River runs through, and then there's this crazy bridge that's like a huge focal point of the park. It was built in the 70s.
1977?
Good job. Yes, I couldn't remember, but
I think it's 1977.
My co-host here has a lot better memory than I do. So before they built this bridge that spans the gorge, people had to do this 45-minute sort of like downhill drive to this tiny little bridge and then go all the way back up. So now it takes them, I think they said, like a minute to cross the bridge, that same commute. And one of the best things to do at the park is to do that scenic drive and just go the old route, which it's very windy. It's a one
way a lot of the way.
Yes. Going down and then back up. So it's essentially one-lane road. A lot of hairpin
Lots of turns.
Insane. But it's really cool because there's a lot of times where you are right under the bridge, and then you get to the bottom, and it's like right in front of you. You're seeing it from the bottom. It's so cool. So cool. So from here, we went to the national park. The main visitor center is the Canyon Rim Visitor Center, and it overlooks one of the main features of the park. So the park is a gorge, which the New River runs through, and then there's this crazy bridge that's like a huge focal point of the park. the bridge, and they had no fatalities when they were building. I'm trying to remember the facts they told us
because
about
they
it.
had a big netting area under it. So if people did by chance slip off or fall, they were on that net.
Yeah. And they have a big celebration every year. I think it's on October 1st, right?
Mm-hmm.
They call it Bridge Day. And they basically close half the bridge, and it's this huge festival.
It looks so cool.
Yeah. I think there's something to do with parachutes. They were telling us they parachute down off the bridge to, this point on the river. So it's a big deal here. I would totally come back for that.
Oh, yeah.
It's really coul. It's a really neat bridge. Drove over it several times. And then we did the scenic drive, and then after the scenic drive, we did a hike called the Long Point Trail.
Mm-hmm.
That was a pretty moderate hike to me.
Yeah.
It was an out and back trail. It was about 3 miles through the woods, and you kind of come out, I think, to a point, and then straight in front of you is the bridge that you can see off in the distance. So it's a really cool view. There was a guy there when we got there who was sitting on the edge.
Which makes us nervous.
Which is my least favorite thing in the world. It makes me, a little bit nauseous. I'm not even being dramatic. I hate people sitting on the edge. And I guess he probably thought he was being cool. But he got up to go, and apparently he had his driver's license out.
And he dropped it.
He dropped it.
Onto another mini cliff that he then considered climbing down to get his ID.
I wish it had just fallen all the way down to where we couldn't even see it, so it wasn't even a possibility, because he was probably for 15, 20 minutes talking about it. Anyone who came to the end of the trail, he would talk to them about it, hey, what do you think about me, trying to reach down and,
and we all said
down.
no.
And we're don't do it. It's not worth it. He was very concerned about he had to drive back to Michigan, and what if he got pulled over, which shouldn't really, it'll be fine, but don't get pulled over.
So keep a picture of your driver's license on your cell phone, and don't get your driver's license out when you're hiking on a cliff.
That's it. Yeah, zipper it up.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Also, it's not that big of a deal. A cop would totally understand. Don't risk your life for a piece of plastic.
Correct.
Yes. So that was our adventure on Long Point Trail. And then the next day, we went to a different visitor center. I can't remember what it was called, but the trail, we hiked technically 2 trails. So one was really just an overlook, the Grand View Overlook, which was a view of a horseshoe bend in the river. And there wasn't really a good spot where you could see, get a picture of the whole horseshoe.
No, because it's kind of too, close up, which sounds silly, but...
Yeah, it just wasn't, or then there was trees in the way or whatever, but it was really cool. It was neat to see the river. And then we did the Castle Rock Trail.
Which was the coolest.
Which on my All Trails said it was a moderate hike. It was only a mile.
Yeah.
So we were we can knock this out. It's moderate. And then the actual, park map was
say? It's difficult. And I was I don't know, Joy. Let's try it.
Yes, and it had just it had rained the whole day before. No, not the whole day. It was on and off, but it was pretty wet out. So it ended up being, to me, it was a trail that kind of followed the rim of the gorge. And then at the end, there was these staircases made out of rocks.
Which was so cool.
Yes, so cool. And then a pretty flat, it was almost like you were at that top of the gorge then, and a flat trail back to the visitor center. So it probably, it was a mile round trip. I like the hike.
I think I'd call it moderate.
I think it was definitely moderate.
Because the rocks made staircases. The rocks made great stepping stones. It wasn't a dirt trail the whole way through, and maybe that's why it was a little bit considered a little bit difficult sometimes. Maybe footing was not as easy as other trails.
Yeah, it was like one of, if you've ever done a trail that's like just mostly a rock path, for a better term, but you're climbing over a lot of rocks and like tree roots and kind of thing. But I really liked it. I liked it. We took it slow because the rocks are wet, and where there was a dirt path, it was all muddy. So we went slow, but we really liked it. And you can go on my Instagram or Jen's Instagram. What do you want to share your Instagram? Sorry,
sure, that's okay. I think it's JenFin0405, but that's not something I can promise.
She has a great picture of like the rock wall that was sort of on our left a lot of the time. It was massive, and it was like, how would you describe it? Like
layered.
Yes. Like layered all the way up, and kind of like, did it curve in at one?
It did.
Like when you went up to this, it was kind of like curved in.
I wonder why.
I don't know, but at the one point there was like rocks on the ground,
and we were like, ooh,
but not like rocks, like pieces of it had like fallen down. I was like, let's not stay here. Yeah. I'm sure it was fine, but and then the other part, we saw these little holes in the ground.
Doodlebug holes, guys. Doodlebugs eat ants. They have little funnel-sized holes, and me and my granny used to say, doodlebug, doodlebug, and like try to find them in their little hole. But we didn't successfully find any this trip, which was really sad.
Yes. Yes, we don't know what the real name of a doodlebug is. I've never heard of them, but I think it's really sweet.
Probably like sand something.
Probably.
Because they live in the sand.
Yeah. That makes sense. But it was really cool to see those little funnel-shaped holes. That was a good way to describe them. All over the place. So yeah, that's what we did, and then it started thundering.
And we were like, oh, better hit a brewery.
Yes, as you know, always a brewery. So the first one we did was Bridge Brew Works, which was a big space. And we did a flight. They were all good.
Yeah, we actually liked the IPA.
That's
Surprisingly, we liked the IPA. I'm not a big IPA fan usually, but I think it was a little hazy IPA, a little fruity.
Yes.
Made it good.
Definitely something with fruit in there. I'll take it. That was fun. And then there was one maybe like 5 minutes down the road called Free Folk Brewery, which was a little bit smaller. Park across the road, walk across, but they have like just a nice indoor little space, nice outdoor space under a pavilion, so we could sit there even while it was raining. And they had an amazing beer that we both got called Soul Sister.
It was a raspberry sour?
Yes. So good. So drinkable.
And honestly, guys, they had burgers. Burgers and beer. What more could you want?
Yes. And we had an amazing veggie burger, which
was like beets and black beans.
Guys, it was so good. I would normally never order a veggie burger. Or like I don't make them. We were talking about this. We don't like really make them regularly. But it sounded so good.
Had some kind of Thai sauce, and it was crispy.
It was
delicious.
Good. If you see one on a menu by you, I would say try it. You would be surprised how good it is. And with that beer, it was yummy. So good job, Free Folk Brewery.
We're fans.
Yes. There was also a brewery that we didn't get to go to. I think this is so funny. There's a lake by the Gorge called Summerville Lake, and it's made from a dam. The Army Corps of Engineers made it, and it's like a big rec area as well. Very, very famous in the area. We didn't get to go there, but when the Army Corps of Engineers names a lake, they name it after the town that's closest to it. And the town that was closest to it, or they flooded for the lake, was called Gad, G-A-D. And so they would have following the rules, they would have named the lake Gad, or the dam Gad Dam. Gad Dam. Mom and Dad, I'm not cursing on my podcast. But there is, so they did not name it. They named it like the next town over, Summerville Dam, Summerville Lake. But there's still a brewery up there called Gad Dam Brewery. I love a good little pun.
It's a pun. Words. Yeah, I love it.
I think that's fun. So I got that story off of the Here app. So if you guys haven't heard me talking about that, it's like a podcast app that has like little fun anecdotes and like history about the area you're going through. So I thought that was funny. So that was our adventures hiking, but we also got to do something super duper fun.
We went whitewater rafting.
We did it. It was, we thought it was kind of a cloudy and like cold day.
But once we got out there, warmed up, the sun came out, and we were probably a little bit distracted from the weather because we were in the rapids.
Okay, guys, I was like, this will be fun. Like, I'm up for adventures. Jen's up for adventures. We're like, yeah. You know, they ask you, like, have you done this before? And we were like, well, you know, middle school, elementary school, but it'll be fun. We're fast learners. We're good direction followers. Oh, my goodness.
It was very important that we were good direction followers.
Yes.
Because it was a wild ride, guys.
It was wild. I mean, so I think rapids go from class 1 to class 6, and we were doing class 2 to class, like, a lot of class 5s.
Yeah.
A lot of class 5s.
I was so surprised. I thought it was going to be like class 1, class 2. We started on like a class 3, and I was like, okay, here we go.
Yes. And we had a great guide named Derek.
Fantastic guide.
Gave great directions, and we had 4 other guys our age in the front of the raft, and we, I think as a team, did great. We were all great direction followers, really honed in on like paying attention, and they were athletic. I mean, we're all like relatively athletic and like, you know, strong and young. So I think it made for a great trip.
And a good team.
Great team. But rewinding a little bit, we got to talk about Adventures on the Gorge. So that's who we went with. They have a whole campus, like right near the visitor center almost.
It's so adorable. If you want to go camping there. They probably even have cabins. They have an adorable restaurant.
Playgrounds, a pool.
I think you can
zip line. There's like a tree, you know, one of
low
those.
ropes, high ropes courses.
Yes. So it's like a whole, almost like vacation center. You could go and do whatever you want. They have full day trips. They have half day trips on the river for rafting. They do another river, the Gauley River, which is near here, so you can go on that one too.
They have fishing trips.
Yes. So they have like anything you could want. So what a great place to stay if you're coming to like see the national park. If I had known about it.
Yeah, it would have been a good option.
And then the kind of like guide leader for our trip.
The best guide. Overall guide. Doug.
Hi, Doug.
Hi, Doug. We hope you're listening.
Yes.
Shout out to Doug.
He was great. How would you describe Doug?
Doug had braids, pigtail braids, shaved right here. So he had, what would you call this?
Chops.
Like mutton chops? Mutton chops and braids. Definitely a West Virginia man. Definitely a river guy. He knew exactly what he was talking about, and he was going to talk about it in a roundabout way that always led to a punchline. Doug. The whole time. Just friendliest human, kindest human, funniest. Yeah, he was the nicest.
Great guide. Just was cracking jokes the entire bus ride to our drop-off point.
He was the best.
The best. So if you go, ask for
Doug and Derek.
Derek was great too. Very informational. I'm sure maybe all the guides do that, but he like told us while we were in the non-rapid parts of the river, would share some of the history of the towns along the river itself. All the rapids have names, which I didn't know people. They named rapids, but they all had names. Back to the rafting trip, I, again, was not that scared or anything at all. And then I guess they have to, like, really prep you for the rapids that are coming up and just make sure you're, like, super prepared and, like, kind of scare you a little bit so you pay attention. But he scared the daylights out of me several times. He was like, this is ones where you die, because if you fall out, there's no good place to swim to. If you, like, he would be like, we don't want to do this. I don't know. There was one where he prepped us for probably like 10 minutes straight, and I was like,
is that the one?
On alert. I don't think it was the one where we had our craziness.
We had a craziness moment, you guys. Joy saved my life. We were going, I don't even know what class the rapid was.
I think it was another class 5.
I think it had to be a 5 because, like, we were on these waves and you just
go like coming. Up a wave, like you're on the ocean, like you just go up a wave and down, up a wave.
And I'm like, I don't know what happened, but I was like, I'm leaving the boat. Like, there is a huge wave on the right hand side. Like, my bum is not on the edge of the boat anymore. They told you to take somebody in with you if you're going. Like, take a buddy. And Joy was next to me, but this poor guy in front of me is who I grabbed. And then, like, praise the Lord, I went to the middle of the boat.
Yes,
I fell into the boat.
She fell in.
So Joy, like, yanked me back up. This guy, like, yanked me back up. And then all was well. But I thought I was going in, guys. And then my contacts were, like, somewhere in my eyeballs. It wasn't over my pupil. And I was like, I'm blind for the rest of the trip. What are we going to do?
And we're still, like, in rapids.
In rapids.
And she's like, I lost my contacts. And we're all like, no. And he's like, row. We're all like trying to. And then all of a sudden, she's just like,
I got one back.
She's like, I got one.
And then I like blinked really hard a bunch of times and I got 2 back.
She's like, I got 2. And we're like, yeah.
And then we like finished the rapid and nobody fell in.
Nobody fell in.
Group.
I definitely, from my experience, I was like, during these rapids, I'm just like watching the water.
Focus.
I'm not even watching anybody or anything around me. I'm just watching the water, holding my paddle, listening for directions. And so I'm so focused here paddling that I have no idea what's happening until Jen hits me.
I'm sorry.
No. It wasn't even me. It was probably my leg because you fell down into the boat.
Yeah.
But it was like, I don't know how to describe it. I had no idea what was going on until it like literally touched me. And then I was like, oh my gosh, there are other people here. I'm not alone, like, you know. And so at that point, I mean, it was a little less, we were out of like the danger zone or whatever. I honestly thought when I realized like you guys had fallen, we were all like on an angle.
I mean,
we were all on an angle, and I was just like, we're all going in. We're all going in because the boat was just leading that way and they were leading that way. And we like righted.
And what we realized was happening when we ordered our pictures is Derek was riding the waves in the back, throwing his body right, throwing his body left, throwing his body back, like riding these waves, I think, to balance out our boat.
Yes. I think that's what saved us because we were all like this, and I think he must have gone this way, and it was just enough to like pop it right us with maybe like a wave or something. But that was definitely a precarious moment where we would have gone over. There were no other moments like that on the trip.
I don't feel like there were.
We did so good. We rode those waves. I don't think anybody, I mean, the guys in the very front got like
pelted with water.
Like they went through waves.
Many times.
Like saved us from a lot of water. But yes, that was so funny.
Oh my gosh.
So funny. So glad Jen got her contacts back.
Oh my gosh. I thought like I was just going to have to be a good listener and reach for the water and maybe my paddle would hit it.
And Derek was telling us at the start of the trip how he had a blind person the day before.
I think a deaf person.
Just kidding, deaf person.
But with glasses. So it was like extra intimidating because if they lost their glasses, they wouldn't be able to see or hear.
Yeah. And he said she did fine. She just watched the person in front of her.
Which is amazing.
And
amazing.
Which was awesome. So it was definitely a fun trip. I think the craziest part, we were just like talking about this and researching this, but all of the, I mean, like when he was telling us about the history of the river, he would just be like, oh, there were like 80 rivers along the gorge, and there's like 2 on there now, and the rest are gone.
80 towns.
Yeah. And we would be like, I was just like gone. Like, what does that mean?
Yeah,
Like, who's
so
gone?
we started kind of looking up, like Googling it this morning, and there were all of these towns, all of these like coal mining towns, and they're all gone in different ways. Some of them are just like dilapidated ruins. Some of them, there were fires. Some of them, it's like there was a 50-year-old house and a tree fell on it, and now it's just a crumbled pile of decay.
It's intense. It's just fascinating that in that short of time, like, things are just, like...
Gone.
Towns. Like, all these towns are just gone. Like, even the bigger ones, like, there was a train depot on one side and, like, whole general store and the, like, you know, entrance to the mine, like, the mine headquarters were on the other side. And there was a swinging bridge. He said that's how people got across the river.
That's how they carried all their, like, their goods, their things that they needed to live.
Yes.
Would be delivered on one side of the swinging bridge, and they'd haul it over.
Insane. Can't even imagine. But yeah, all that is just gone. They said, I think there was one, like, ghost town that they, like, restored, for lack of a better term, that you can, like, go and, like, walk through abandoned buildings, which we did not do, but I would probably not be a fan of. It's just, I don't know, it just is a little creepy.
It's creepy. Ghost towns.
And they said that coal industry went away because mostly, I think in the 60s, right, there was, like, standards put in place for, like, clean coal, clean energy, and then labor laws, like child labor laws and, you know, unions, you have to pay for it. And that's actually, I've heard a different story about where the term redneck came from, but
I thought it was like you were a farmer and your neck got sunburned.
That's what I've always heard.
Not true.
Not true.
Fake news.
At least in West Virginia, they claim to be the inventors of redneck, which was the when they started unionizing the mines, the organizers would wear a red handkerchief around their necks, and so they were like rough people, and so they were called rednecks. That's where that comes from.
Not in Georgia, though.
Only in Georgia, yeah. Only in West Virginia. I know. I was like, I don't know about that. What else about our whitewater rafting?
It was really fun.
It was great. They gave us a beer afterwards on the bus.
Which was so cute. Homer
was our bus driver.
We loved him. He's been around a while.
Yes. That's a great way to put it. Yeah, it was just a really fun day. It was great. Not too hard. I mean, I would say I don't have a lot of upper arm strength.
Yeah.
And I did it just fine.
Yeah. I didn't always feel like I was contributing the most.
Yes.
Because when you're in the rapids, sometimes your paddle doesn't even hit the water, but, like, you got to keep on track with your other teammates.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
So that was interesting to kind of, like, have that realization of I'm not hitting the water, but I need to keep going.
Yes. And there were some rapids that they call swim rapids.
Oh, yeah. They let them swim in a level 1 or something like that. Just let them, like, float. So on your back with your feet up. So your feet would hit a rock before anything else. And then, the guys had to swim back to the boat.
Yeah, we didn't do that. I was too afraid the water was going to be ice cold. Also, I don't want to get that wet. But apparently it was 70 degrees. The water's 70 degrees. Yeah. And they'd gotten a lot of rain. So it rained the day before. And the river was way higher than it usually is at this time of year. So he was saying at some points, like, there were rapids that we didn't hit because they were underwater. And then there were other rapids that were there because the water was so high. So, yeah, there was this one rock that he said typically you can take the raft completely under. It's like a little cave that it forms on the bank. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm. And water was all the way up.
Water was all the way up to the top. Like, we couldn't even see what he was talking about for a cave.
Like, there was a whale rock that we had to miss. You wanted to miss the whale rock, this huge rock.
Yes.
There was a rock that made up the teacher's pet, which would, like, Oh my gosh, guys, I think it would suck you in.
It would suck you in.
Oh my gosh, it's terrifying.
It was like water rushing down the river one way and then
like splashing back.
Somehow it was coming back just as strong the other way. So if you got caught, you're just like pounded both ways by the river. Very scary. And he would like tell us about it, like Jen was saying before. He'd be like, you don't want to, he would always tell us for this rapid, swim left or swim right in case you got out of, got thrown out or whatever. There was a side you wanted to swim to the eddy, which was like slow flowing or not flowing water at all. So he would always tell us that. And then we get done the rapid and he'd be like, that's awesome. And he'd be like, okay, look to your right. That's like, that was the area that would kill you if you like, like something super intense. And you're like, oh my gosh.
Glad we made it through.
Yes. Feel like you would not want to go there because I don't know how you would get out. Like, we couldn't rescue you. Like, stuff like that. And you'd be like, oh my goodness.
It was awesome, though.
It was really, really fun. So, yeah, I think it was a good trip overall.
Great trip.
New River Gorge. I feel like it's probably not that big of a distance from most places, like on the East Coast or the Midwest.
Make a trip.
You could drive here.
Trip.
I mean, Jennifer got a super cheap flight.
Yeah, flights from Georgia to Virginia are cheap.
Yes. And Charleston, you're leaving, and it's from Charleston, West Virginia, and that was a pretty cheap flight, too. Yeah. So even if you did that and then drove it's an hour from Charleston to here, so even if you did that, highly recommended. Highly recommend. Super fun, beautiful in the, I guess you would call this summertime.
Yeah.
In June. So yeah, it was definitely a fun time. Thanks for coming with me, Jen.
Yeah, thanks for letting me come.
It was awesome. Until next time, I wish you happy travels wherever life is taking you. Bye, guys.
Bye.